What's up, amazing tech startups? I want to show you an easy way to use JIRA to start creating your roadmap for your app or software launch. And a lot of people think JIRA can only be used for like really like hardcore development, but I actually like to build it out into a roadmap that really includes everything that's going to be involved with launching your app. So I'll kind of give you a picture of what it looks like. So here I am in JIRA. I'm on the roadmap planning section. So not the board, not the Kanban board, but make sure you're in roadmap. And what we'll basically do is we're going to start building out a roadmap of what launching our new app is going to look like. It's going to help us get super organized. It's going to help us, start putting all the pieces together, making sure we've got the right team in place, and start building this thing out. So as you can see, I'm just basically dropping in some different steps that are going to be involved in launching my new app. And what's going to happen is as we start plugging these in, these are the big, what JIRA calls epics. So these are kind of the big pieces of launching your app. And then we'll actually start adding in tasks underneath. So let me just plug a few more of these in. These are just basic, a lot of marketing stuff, because we should really, as we're building and developing an app, we should be thinking in advance of how we're going to market it. And, also here's just some basic, UI, UX planning. We're going to create a storyboard. We're going to create just what I'm calling phase one branding. So don't get too hung up on branding right out the gate. It's more important that you focus on developing a really strong app. That's where your energy and attention should go to, because even if you have like the best branding ever and your app sucks, who cares, right? So here's some basic kind of overarching goals that we're going to need to complete in order to have a successful app launch. And what we can do once we basically have this done is, let me just get two more in here. And then the final one obviously is going to be, well, there'll be more activity to do after this, but just for an initial app launch, the final one will obviously be getting it into the App Store or the Google Store. So great. Okay, so we've got our big overarching activities that need to happen for our app launch. So once we're in here, basically what I can do, market research, I can, look for competitors. I'm not going to do a whole lot here, but I just want to give you an idea of what it looks like once you start getting the tasks plugged in. We can, compile pricing, we can compare features, we can, we can, test different competitive apps. Great. Okay, so now you can see I've got this epic that's purple, and then I've got some tasks that are going to go with it. Now, what I'll do to really build out my roadmap is I'm going to do the same thing for each of these. So what does success look like for this app? Like really setting some objectives and key results and knowing what it is that you're going after before you, really start running after something. If you don't know where you're going, right, how are you going to get there? So defining success, defining requirements, these things are really important and things that people can really easily skip over. And what ends up happening is that you get pretty far into development, and then you realize that there's a feature or a requirement that didn't get implemented because it wasn't like thought through in advance, right? So these are important to take time to really identify. These are the things I want my app to be able to do. And I'd also recommend you work in phases, right? So this can be really the MVP launch. This could be the minimally viable product. Like, what can I put out there in the world that will deliver, the results that I want with the least amount of effort? So obviously it's going to take a lot of work. Obviously there's going to be, there's going to be financing that needs to go into development and branding and things like that. But really also thinking, what can I create that would cost me the least amount of money, take the least amount of time, but still provide the benefits that I desire, and that I can get out in the world. And then once I get that out there, then great, now I can take it to the next level. Or maybe once you get your MVP out there, maybe you could get some funding coming in, and you'd have more money to like really refine and improve it. But I'd say when you're first starting with your first launch, you want to be thinking of a minimally viable product. So what can I get out there to test the market and see if people really want this without dumping a ton of money into development and branding and all those things that we can really kind of waste a lot of time and money on before we prove a concept. So yeah, so basically what you'll do is you'll add all these different tasks, landing pages, social media handles, start developing content. You need to be talking about your app way before your app is ready to put out there in the world. So people need to know about it, start teasing it about it, start making YouTube videos, start making social media content. There's so much you can do with stories and reels and all that kind of stuff. So just really putting your idea out there in the world, because you'll start getting feedback from just doing that. And it'll give you some really good insight as you're developing the app. Basic branding, like I said, phase 1 branding. Do not get too stuck on this, that you have to have the perfect branding before you can even get started. And then of course you'll go into like the MVP development, step into beta testing. You're going to definitely want to get some people on board who can like test your app for you. Whoever your internal team is obviously great resources, but sometimes they're so close to the project that they don't see some of the issues or where they're getting stuck because they don't know it as well as you do. So really starting to kind of figure out who your beta testers are going to be, how you're going to get it. There's definitely ways to beta test through the App Store in Google. They have programs where they will actually, for a small fee, and it's not that much, but they will actually get it out to a whole bunch of beta testers and get you feedback back. I can go into that on another video down the road. So make sure you are subscribed to our channel here so you hear from us often. But yeah, so basically once you get your epics and then all the different activities that are going to go with that, then you can start building out your roadmap. So you'll see once I hover here, then we start to get kind of a timeline. So JIRA is trying to estimate how long this will take. So it's kind of looking at, okay, there's 4 tasks. There's ways to get very detailed on this kind of thing where you can actually put in how long a task is going to take. So if or if you can estimate like, hey, this is going to take, 2 hours, this is going to take 12 hours, 20 hours, whatever it is, you can start plugging it in. And then this like little purple bar will start to be more accurate for you. But for now, this is fine how JIRA is really just kind of doing an estimate. So, today is, we can start market research right away, right? So I'm just going to go ahead and drop that there. I'm going to close these guys up. Defining success, we have a small team. If we're working on market research, I don't want to overload our team too much. So I'm going to give us a little bit of a buffer, but we can also work on this stuff kind of congruently. And define requirements again. So basically what you're going to do is you're just going to start to timeline out your activities. Understanding how much time do you have to commit to this? How much time does your team have to commit to it? And how much development resources do you have? So if your resources are pretty thin and you're really just trying to bootstrap this thing, then you're going to want to give yourself a little extra time, because that'll save you on some of the expense of development if you give them a little more space to do it. And also again, all these things can kind of be happening. You want to give like a little bit of a buffer, but for the most part, the one thing I'd be careful of is when you are in development, make sure you're not putting like another development project right on the same timeline. Like give your developers the time and the space to work on the one thing that they need to work on. It will help them be more efficient and more productive than trying to bounce around, over like 2 or 3 different tasks that they're trying to work on. And then basically once you're done kind of adding these all in, you will have a roadmap and you will have an understanding of when you will be ready to launch your app. So right now it looks like June 16th is kind of the launch date based on where I dropped all these guys. If I'm good with that timing, great. I can leave it as it is. If that seems a little too late, then I can come back and kind of tighten all these up again. But yeah, this is a great starting place. And like I said, what you're going to do is add the actual tasks and activities that need to be done under each of these epics. So your team has a very clear picture on what is coming up, what they're going to be working on, what the priorities of the company are, and just creating a really clear, clean, organized space for the team and everyone to work in. So again, a lot of people use JIRA just strictly for development, but I like to build it out and actually create an entire plan for an app, because an app is not just the development of the app, or the user experience or anything. Like, it is all the other components that go with it. So this is using epics and creating a roadmap in JIRA. Yeah, hit the subscribe button so that you get notified when we come out with new videos. We are always wanting to support our technology startups out there in the world. And if you need any help with your technology startup, please reach out. I will drop an email address down below, and I'd love to hear from you. Thanks so much.